12 down, 6 to go. Let's continue our speculative biology look at 6 new Pokémon types. Hello there, Professor Fern here. So far we've had 2 lessons looking at the elemental types that scientists apply to the fascinating creatures known as Pokémon. And today we're finally ready to crack the few remaining ones. My research on this subject has kept going strong. And with it I think we have what we need to look at the last 6 Pokémon types, their biological mechanisms and ecological implications. Please like, hype and subscribe if you'd like to make our videos a critical hit. And without further ado, let us begin with Water type. Water types are quite easily characterized by the fact that they tend to live in or near bodies of water, and as such have developed adaptations to a partially or completely aquatic lifestyle, including structures that allow them to move underwater. Many of them, fascinatingly, have developed a manner of siphons, throat muscles, or other structures that allow them to shoot jets of water, both for movement and as a way to expel excess water from their bodies as they swim. These, however, also constitute the main way many of these organisms defend themselves, adjusting the pressure to shoot bubbles as a warning or powerful jets that can cause severe harm, even using chemical defenses in conjunction with these jets to change the water's temperature and other properties. Some of the larger and stronger water types are even known to use the movements of their bodies to create waves or currents they can use to stun, trap, or even drown both prey and predators, especially those less adapted to a watery environment. Unfortunately, due to the conditions they are adapted to, many water types risk dehydration upon leaving the water, causing a tendency towards increasingly aquatic lifestyles in these species. Now let's have a rather peculiar type. Bug type. Yes, this is the type for bugs. Insects, arthropods like spiders and anomalocaris, and some other types of invertebrates like snail. Yeah, I'm gonna level with y'all, I'm just making time for the drawing because this is legit just the invertebrates type. Except when they aren't. Many arthropods in the world of Pokémon, including many crustaceans and mollusks, are not given the bug typing, while others have the type without there seeming to be a hard division between the two. This is not a matter of environment, since both land and water arthropods are found in either category. This bug typing seems to be a paraphyletic group, based on vibes, while removing from the typing any invertebrates that were deemed to fit better into another, more specific group. It's not about size or ecological niche either, since the bug type includes both tiny, small animals and monstrously huge predators. With that in mind, maybe the actual thing that defines the bug type is... Oh look! The drawing is ready! Let's move on! Now on to ground types. A rather simple type to define. Digging animals that present adaptations to a complete or partial underground lifestyle, including extremely strong limbs, which tend to be their main defensive tool. Hits from these limbs and slashes from digging claws can be extremely painful, and their strength even allows them to throw sand, mud, or even rocks at their target, a behavior that will very quickly discourage a potential predator. More predatory ground types have even been known to create traps by digging just beneath the surface, creating a fragile layer of soil where any passing prey will fall. While functional, this hunting method is famously ineffective against birds and other flying creatures. Despite common belief that these animals are immune to electric attacks, this is mostly tied to the relative difficulty of conducting electricity in many mediums. Dry soil, where many of these animals thrive, will indeed isolate them from this type of attacks, but moisture environments are a different story altogether. Now on to another fun one, ghost types. These organisms can most broadly be classified as nocturnal predators, heavily relying on stealth and hiding among the shadows to hunt. Furthermore, ghost types often tend to take advantage of a wide diversity of toxic and venomous weapons to hunt, many of which are known to contain strong psychoactive compounds, like those seen in some species of toad. Depending on the size of the predator and the prey, this venom can cause a wide variety of effects, including paralysis, drowsiness, dizziness, confusion, and an enhanced fear response, sometimes even including hallucinations, all of which prevent predators from attacking and prey from taking proper defensive measures. Even if they manage to escape the grasp of a ghost type, those affected have been known to suffer from nightmares for days and even weeks afterwards. With all of this in mind, it's no wonder they have received such a name, as most people tend to see them more as restless spirits of the night than as real living beings. Moving on, we have another rather hard one to classify: fighting type. It can be hard to tell in exact terms how to differentiate what makes a fighting type, since most animals have mechanisms they use to defend themselves from others, which would constitute, fighting. However, it seems the main feature that distinguishes these creatures is a certain level of anthropomorphism, meaning the defense mechanisms of these animals resemble those of human fighters, including strikes with hands and feet, tossing and charging at opponents and potential predators, and an emphasis on parries and blocks over simply striking and avoid being hit. These more complex defense mechanisms are not as instinctive and intuitive as others, and often involve a lot of teaching from their parents and playing with one another as a way to train themselves. And finally, let's move on to the dragon type. You know what dragons are. I know what dragons are. The classic idea of what a dragon is defines a very specific type of organism, but when referring to the biology of these animals, the term is defined in a very different way, encompassing anything from winged reptiles and amphibians to mammals and even some mollusks. And you know what? I respect that. Further modding things is the nature of the adaptations to hunt and the defense mechanisms of dragon types, as dragon type moves have a lot of overlap with those of other types, including fire and similar energy blasts, wind, or even magnetism-based electric and psychic attacks. Clearly, dragon type does not indicate a taxonomic classification, despite what the traditional idea of a dragon might indicate. Rather, dragon types are defined by their power, their scale and strength compared to other organisms in their environment, and their relatively low number compared to other types. All this is to say, dragon types tend to be apex predators, the few organisms in their habitat that have no predators of their own and even feed on other kinds of predators. This definition, of course, is not without exceptions, as the dragon typing is sometimes assigned to creatures that resemble the traditional idea of a dragon, irrespective of their place in the ecosystem. But we could differentiate the two things as sensu stricto dragons, or apex predators, and sensu lato dragons, animals that resemble traditional dragons. And that's it for a speculative biology look into the last few Pokémon types. All throughout the series, I did my best to recreate these typings as best as I could, deciding on a case-to-case basis if they seemed to be more related to specific defense and hunting mechanisms used, to ecological niches, or to something less well-defined that needed more effort to figure out. And in the end, I'm pretty satisfied with how these types turned out. As for you, please be on the lookout for the upcoming shorts featuring more info on the specific Pokémon featured in this video. With that said, I hope you all enjoyed this series. Please let me know what you would like to see next from the Pokémon games. Evolution methods? Regional gimmicks? Something else? Just write it down in the comments for me to know. Big thanks to all of you who have tuned in on these episodes. And of course, big thanks as well to our researchers and research associates who support us through Patreon and YouTube memberships. Remember, you too can support our channel by joining in. And you also get to watch all of our creatures and episodes before anyone else. Or you can also like, subscribe, or write a comment telling me any type of creature you would like me to give the spec evo treatment in the show. Any of those really help the channel a lot. Thank you all for watching, and see you next time on the Speculative Wildlife Research Center.
Bruh, look at this dude. Wait till you see the. No, 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 no.